Let's talk about building a sustainable fashion industry is the industry I'm going to use as an example today because they are notorious for not doing these things, being sustainable. But let's talk about how your business, your industry, insert your industry here, can be more sustainable in order to supersize and grow your business. Nowadays, with consumers being more educated, the internet has changed our world. It has changed business. It has changed our lives as individuals, as well as how business is done. Being part of a global economy means we are a lot more accountable and need to be more transparent in order to be competitive in a very competitive world, no matter what industry you're in. The fashion industry is notorious for not doing things that are sustainable, not having fair labor practices, not using user-friendly materials, not having a cyclical or recycling or reusing materials in the industry. Basically, they source a garment, they make a garment using questionable labor practices in many instances, and then that garment is either thrown away or not used at all again. And so that's why I'm using the fashion industry as an example today, because traditionally they have not been awesome at sustainability. And the companies that are, and there's a couple examples of one of my favorite companies, as well as another that are doing an incredibly good job of leading the industry, the fashion industry, in sustainability. And I'll share those in a minute. But what the heck is sustainability and why do we want it? Sustainability reaches and goes across every area and aspect of our businesses and of our companies. And it's about using ethical, moral, good business practices that are sustainable over the long term, making decisions for the long term versus just short-term, quick fix decisions based only and solely on what's in it for us as a company, what's in it for us as an organization. How can we and this is one of my favorite sayings, so I'm kind of cringing as I'm saying it, how can we efficiently and effectively do something that is in the best interest of all of our stakeholders? It involves transparency through the entire supply chain, right? And through labor practices, not just fair labor practices, but working conditions. Are the people that are producing and manufacturing and making the products for our industry doing it in a way that is safe? Fair, meaning they've got a decent wage so that they're not, child laborers in China or wherever, and in different parts of the world where we're just moving our manufacturing there because it's cheaper and we can get cheap labor. I understand, being involved in lots of different industries, that labor and the cost of doing something is usually our highest expense in many, many industries. Even in manufacturing, our labor costs are higher than most any other thing. And what we're forgetting is that it might be our highest expense, but it is also our most valuable resource in terms of the ability to impact our results and our business and to supersize and grow our business. Even though it's a great expense, it comes with great resourcefulness and resources that allow us to do things that we could never do on our own. So fair labor practices is a huge part of sustainability, and it's one that's often overlooked. Transparency in our supply chain, again, where are our people want to know where the stuff they're eating, especially it's stuff that's going in my body and that I'm consuming and eating or feeding to my children or grandchildren. I want to know where the heck that's coming from and how it's being processed, what's going on, what's going into it. The same is true of our clothing and many other industries. People want to know the source of where things are coming from. And I could tell you my chicken story, but I'm not going to bore you with that today. But I worked a lot with the USDA over the decades, being involved in the food manufacturing industry. And I have a chicken horror story, but I'm not going to go into it. We also want to make sure, specifically the fashion industry, that they're using organic and regenerative fibers, making garments and making fashion out of things that are recyclable, reusable, or that we have the ability to make more or get more of. Recycled and upcycled material. Upcycled material is just material that is used, like vintage fabrics are used in, and I was at Round Top last year here in Texas, where I happen to be traveling right now. And it's a huge, like 4,000 plus vendors event, event, lots of furniture and clothing, all kinds of things. But one of my favorite things that I got there was a shirt that's made out of vintage fabrics. And this woman had this incredible booth of redesigned, and this is in the fashion industry, redesigned fabrics that she had made into something different. Some things involved jeans or jean skirts and things. Other things were just different fabrics, vintage fabrics that were put together in a new design. So the fabric was reused and redesigned in a different type of blouse. Things like that. That's an example of upcycled. Recycled is you can actually reuse the material. You know, we recycle plastic, we recycle paper, hopefully in your area, all the time. And it can become totally different products and services. We want to, in our industry, think about what are some circular processes that we can put in place. Are there ways that we can reduce waste? I grew up in manufacturing, both in corporate America and in the private sector, and we automatically did these things because we were looking for ways to save money, reuse, recycle, minimize the use of resources that weren't necessary, etc. Because in some industries, waste is a huge, huge expense, and getting rid of that waste is a huge expense. Think of clean water and making sure that from our processes, the water, and a lot of the manufacturing businesses I've worked in and with reclaim and recycle and refilter their water so that they can use it again and again and again versus putting it out into the environment. So we want to have closed loop systems. That's an example of a closed loop system. We want to have, are there ways to put closed loop systems in our processes? And again, from the beginning to the end. And if you are just a reseller and you're building a reseller business, it doesn't mean that you get to say, I don't care where things are coming from. And a lot of businesses will do this, but it allows you a competitive advantage if you are more conscientious, especially nowadays. The internet makes it possible for people to spread information about your organization. So if they know and find out that you are sourcing your products from places that have, you know, slave labor, or places that don't care about the environment, or places that are polluting, guess what? Word's going to get out, and that's going to put a bad mark on your reputation and can actually destroy your business, destroy your brand. So curious, have you and are you doing anything about sustainability in your organization, for your industry? Because one of the ways to get a competitive advantage is actually be like Patagonia and lead the industry in that. Patagonia is my favorite example of, and especially in the fashion industry, sustainability. They've been trailblazers with respect to this for decades, and they lead the fashion industry in social responsibility and prioritizing the environment. They do an amazing job of that. Eileen Fisher is another example, and they actually have a program called the Renew program, which buys back old garments and reuses old garments and recycles them or resells them. And they promote circularity and waste reduction in their organization. Again, manufacturers tend to do that. And we've done it for so long that we almost don't think about it as a separate entity or a separate action, but now it is. And then there's a thing in the fashion industry called Reformation, and it combines fashion-forward designs and sustainability, offering eco-friendly and chic fashion options for people. So are you thinking about sustainability or long-term viability of your processes, procedures, systems, sourcing, supply chain, manufacturing process, etc., as you're building and growing and supersizing your business? You know, like I said, you don't have to. Sometime in the not so distant future, you will have to, because the government will get involved and make it a priority for all of us, or they'll tax us or charge us fees if we're not. Or if you make a mess, if you make a waste type mess, you can be sued and have to clean it all up. That's happened in the community that I live and grew up in several times. We had big manufacturers around us that actually polluted our water and our dump area. And they went around and fined and charged all of the businesses in the area, even if they had nothing to do with it, because they needed to clean up the mess that these big organizations had made. All right, that's all I've got today. Curious, how are you, and are you even thinking about sustainability with respect to your business? Share in the comments below so we can learn from one another. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow with another strategy you can use to supersize and grow your business. Have an awesome day.